Have you ever felt that your brain is working against you? You sit down to get something important done, but you find yourself scrolling, binge watching TV, being distracted by things, doing everything else other than what you should be doing. It's almost like your mind has a mind of its own. But what if I told you there's a reason for this? In this video, we are going to be uncovering the truth that your brain might actually be sabotaging your success and what you can do to stop it. You see, procrastination happens when your brain is actually battling itself. On one hand, there is the limbic system, like this is the part of your brain that is all about instant gratification and pleasure. On the other hand, you have the prefrontal cortex. This is the more evolved part of your brain that helps you plan and stay focused. When you come across something that you really don't want to do, then these two parts of the brain begin to clash. If the limbic system wins, then you put off the task because it wants to avoid anything unpleasant. This does give you temporary relief, but at the price of not doing what needs to be done. Now you might think that why on earth do you have the limbic system? It seems like a pretty shitty region of the brain. The thing is that the limbic system is one of the oldest and the most powerful regions of your brain. It's like your brain's automatic survival tool. Imagine touching something hot. It is your limbic system that makes you instantly pull back without even thinking about it. It's designed to protect you by making quick decisions to keep you safe. So when you touch something hot, you don't actually debate or ask yourself what is the core temperature of this object. No, you instantly pull your hands back. But here's the catch. It doesn't just respond to danger. It actually responds to things that you also find unpleasant, like a boring or a difficult task. Your limbic system's job is to help you avoid discomfort. So it pushes you to do something to feel better in that moment. And this often comes at the expense of delaying that task. Your prefrontal cortex, on the other hand, is your brain's control center. This is the part of the brain that really sets us apart from animals. Like, you can actually think ahead and make decisions rather than just react to your circumstances. But here's the catch. Your limbic system sort of comes into play automatically. It just gets kicked into gear as soon as you receive the right stimuli. However, that's not the case with the prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex needs a little bit of a push to get working. You have to consciously activate it. You have to decide that, okay, I am now going to focus on this thing. But the problem is that the moment you lose this focus, this drive, your limbic system can come into play and make you do something that is quite fun just for the moment. If you're the sort of person that enjoys information-based content rather than just pointless entertainment, then make sure that you subscribe because I'm going to be making a lot more of these. So from this, you can understand that your prefrontal cortex sort of needs some help in order to beat the limbic system. I read hundreds of self-help books, watched thousands of podcasts, tried a bunch of diets, supplements, mental frameworks. I'm going to share with you the most effective protocols that completely flipped my life around. So much so that I went from this person who was a total loser to someone who was now working as software engineer at Fortune 500 companies like Dell Technologies, AMD, Synopsys. Additionally, I became one of the top performing students in my bachelor's and my master's program. I accomplished all of these things while lifting weights at the gym and training martial arts 6 days a week. So the first thing I did was cut off all forms of instant pleasure from my life. Things like fast food, social media, pornography, video games, all these regions favor that monkey brain, the limbic system. I realized that once I use these things, I'm almost guaranteed to procrastinate any sort of productive task. Because when you're the type of person that is just so used to all this instant pleasure without doing any work to achieve it, then it's very hard for you to sit down, try to focus and work hard towards something. Your limbic system takes you down this rabbit hole where you're just addicted to instant pleasure, and this could turn into a really vicious cycle. When you consume more instant pleasure, you feel like procrastinating. And when you procrastinate and don't do anything, then you feel like consuming more instant pleasure to fill that void. And this vicious cycle can chip away years from your life. The way that I broke this cycle was that I stopped consuming instant gratification and I actually started feeling bored. And I was bored enough to start doing the productive things. Like when you don't have these crazy instant sources of pleasure in your life, then the normal day-to-day productive tasks appear to be a lot more fun and you actually begin to look forward to doing them. I realized that the most fun thing in my life needed to be the productive work that I do. It needed to be my work. And if there was a source of pleasure that was more stimulating than my work, then I would naturally gravitate towards it. So the key is to eliminate all such sources. Make your job, make your work, make your reading habit the most interesting thing about your day. So here's an action step. Make a list of all the habits that you think provide you with instant pleasure, like all of them, note them down. And then for the next 30 days, try your hardest to quit all these behaviors. What I did was I literally tried to quit them cold turkey, no moderation. I'm not going to lie, the first 1 or 2 weeks were kind of rough because firstly I was just so used to all this instant pleasure, like my brain had a hard time withdrawing from it. Additionally, I was not used to doing the hard work. I was not used to engaging my prefrontal cortex, so it required some time for me to get into action. But over time, like by week 3 or week 4, you're going to realize that you are much more in control of your emotions and impulses. You're going to have a much easier time saying no to all that instant gratification. And you're going to have a much easier time doing the hard work. The hard work isn't going to seem like that much of a mountain anymore. Make sure that when you're first starting out, you do not make these productive behaviors too hard to perform. If you've been a serial procrastinator for most of your life, then don't just attempt to do a 4-hour long study session tomorrow, because your limbic system is going to perceive this as a serious threat and you're going to skip the task altogether. And I can say this from personal experience. Like one particular day I thought that, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m., study for 4 hours, hit the gym for 2 hours, come back and finish reading 3 chapters of a book. And guess what happened? I did wake up at 4 a.m. but then all I did was just play video games all day, because this to-do list, this routine seemed like so much of a mountain. It literally caused me stress and anxiety, and I was like, nah, I'm not dealing with this shit. Limbic system took over and it saved me from all that stress and discomfort. So remember to start small, and then you can gradually increase the difficulty once you get far more comfortable navigating between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. One other thing that I noticed was that the more I delayed a task from the beginning of the day, the harder it got to actually perform the task. Like the more I procrastinated it. Because as you live through the day, you accumulate more stressors, more phone calls, more meetings, more appointments, and all these activities call a lot of wear and tear on you. Due to this, I find it incredibly hard to be productive later on in the day, because you have all this baggage of stressors and wear and tear already in you. You're gonna have a really hard time to do productive things then. So what I did to combat this was, as soon as I woke up, I used to do the most important, cognitively demanding task that I had for the day. That is it. That was the first thing that I attempted. Some days I did it even before I washed my face or brushed my teeth. That major piece of task, I had to get it done before any sort of stressor hit me and distracted me and made it much harder to be productive. And this task could have been something like learning how to code, studying for an exam, creating a YouTube video, whatever it is. It has to be the most important task for the day, and it has to be something that is very cognitively demanding, because at the beginning of the day you have the most cognitive resources, you have the most willpower, nothing else occupies your mind, you're a clean slate. But as you move on through the day, you lose these attributes. More things fill your mind. There's more wear and tear. There are more stressors. Your prefrontal cortex basically weakens as the day progresses, and your limbic system begins to take over. So make sure that you try to do all these productive tasks at the beginning of the day. If you're someone who's ambitious and really wants to get a lot done in life, but procrastination and bad habits are just weighing you down, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. In this call, we'll discuss where you are in life and what exactly are your goals and how I can help you achieve them. I only take on 5 clients a month, so make sure you do it soon so you don't miss out.